That scared me. I thought that was oil or something at first leaking from the black 8. Thankfully, it's just water. What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to day 3 of the VIII rebuild. Today is one of those days where it's like kind of a planning in advance type of day. There's a lot of stuff when we rebuild a car that I personally cannot do here in the shop, simply because we just don't have the tooling for it. If we had the tools, then we wouldn't have space to actually work on anything. Sometime in the future, it'd be sick to have everything in-house. So what we pretty much need to do is get everything dropped off that we can't do here, such as the head resurface. We don't have, I believe it would be a mill that you'd use to deck the head. We need to pull this thing apart, get the cams out. Of course, we're going to be doing new valve springs and whatnot, so probably pull out the valves. Go ahead, get this thing dropped off at the cylinder head shop, and they are going to resurface it. They said it's going to take a couple days to do that, so we need to get that done ASAP. There's other stuff on the car that we're going to have powder coated that we do not have an oven big enough for. I mentioned yesterday that we are going to be doing a little bit extra this time around on the Black Evo 8. I feel like we kind of cheaped out on some stuff. Not really. Like, the car is absolutely beautiful, but the subframe, when we pulled it out, we didn't have it recoated. We just cleaned it, and it was in good condition, but it wasn't perfect. So I want to get that subframe recoated. So we need to get everything pulled off the subframe, get that subframe dropped off, as well as that front cross member. That's going to be powder coated. The sway bar looks like it's in pretty bad condition. It's aftermarket, and it looks like a beefy boy. I don't know what brand it is, maybe a Cusco or something. It looks like a Cusco blue. So get that powder coated. And I think those are the 3 things that we really can't fit in the oven. I do need to do something with the CV axles. Maybe we can just like completely pull these apart, get everything cleaned up, all new boots, clamps, all that good stuff, and just powder coat all the hard parts, or Cerakote them or something. I feel like that was a lot of info I just laid down. Let's just get right into it. Let's grab the head, pull out the cams, pull out the valves, and we got to run and get this thing dropped off today. So we have all of the cam cap bolts. You want to pull these things off a little bit at a time. You don't want to pull like one whole cap off, then this one, so on and so forth. You guys get it what I'm saying. Because the valve springs are under pressure right now, the cam is under pressure, and if we don't pull them off evenly, there's gonna be a ton of pressure on the last one. Cam sensor is under here, so we gotta pull off the cam sensor housing. There's the trigger wheel under this cover right here, so 3 bolts for that, and the cams will be out. Now remember, guys, on these cam caps, they have to go on in the same exact spot that they came off. They are all labeled. So the exhaust side is labeled E1 through E6. Intake, same, E1 or I1 through I6. And they all have arrows facing the direction that they should go. You cannot get these things mixed up, or else your cams will not turn. All right, we're pretty much ready to pop out the valves. I do got to give the biggest shout out to SK Tools. Without all of these beautiful tools, especially one tool in particular that I keep going back to every freaking day, are the wobbly sockets. These things are amazing. They're so nice. Big thank you to SK. Without these tools, we definitely wouldn't be able to be as efficient when tearing this thing down. If any of you are in the market for tools, I'll have a link down below, discount code Devin Niemela, to save you 25% off any tool you want from SK. Here we have a valve spring compressor tool. So what we're gonna do is compress the valve spring. So you push down on this retainer, compress the valve spring. There's 2 little keepers in there, little half moon things. Pop those out, release the tool. You'll be able to pull out the spring, the valve seal, all that good stuff. All right, so we have the head down to a completely bare head. No valves, no springs, no retainers, no nothing on it, no cams. Let's run in, get this thing dropped off at the head shop real quick, because we need this thing back before we can do anything, really. I mean, we can do some bottom end stuff, but I kind of want to just do all the whole engine build in one day. Cylinder head service. I wonder if they work on cylinder heads here. Cylinder head is dropped off. They said it might be done today, which would be very, very nice. Let's move on to tearing apart the subframe. We got to get these parts dropped off at Limitless Coatings for the powder coat work. So everything on this will be disassembled and pulled apart, cleaned, stuff replaced. So we got to pull off the lower control arms, the sway bar, the steering rack, our nice broken AC line. Beautiful. Motor mount right here, and then that cross member. So an hour later, after literally destroying my eardrums with the freaking impact, we finally got the lower control arms off. Both of the bolts on both sides were pretty freaking crusty, but thankfully we got them out. We didn't break anything, nothing stripped. They were just rusty. They needed to be removed and cleaned up and greased. Do zinc coating or zinc plating on hardware?
We do, just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, goodbye. Well guys, we're now going down the rabbit hole of really trying to like make this thing mint. I'm calling around places here locally trying to get hardware recoated. I want to try and stick with as much OEM hardware as possible. I did go place a huge like bulk order for M6, M8, M10 bolts, but bigger stuff like subframe hardware and all that good stuff. If we could find someone here locally to replate all that, I know we could do it here. We just have to buy all the equipment, and I don't want to add more stuff to the shop. So if we could find someone to do all that for us, that'd be sick. All these pieces right here, like for example, this bolt for the lower control arm, if we had all this stuff recoated along with like motor mounts and subframe hardware, oh man, it would take this to the next level. Now here's how everything turned out that we just pressure washed. It's all nice and clean. It's a good start. That needs to be coated. That needs to be powder coated. And the sway bar needs to be powder coated. Everything else we can take care of here. All right, let's take care of some more rusty, crusty suspension, like front end components. These assemblies need to be pulled apart. If we are gonna do the whole zinc coating, I'll have all this hardware done as well. The spindles will be powder coated, and the hub assembly with the bearing and all that, that's just gonna be replaced. I don't see a sense in not replacing them while we have everything all apart. So let's pull these 4 bolts out. That can go in the garbage. And then we still need to try to get that ABS sensor out on that one. And then that one also has that broken off bolt for the dust shield. Thankfully, we were able to save the threads in that spindle without helicoiling it. It would have been fine to helicoil it, but it's just more time and more effort. Both spindles are ready to go. We have so much stuff we need to coat for this car, I'm realizing. Spindles, motor mount. I guess we're doing the CV axles. We're gonna have to pull these things completely apart, sandblast everything, mask a bunch of stuff off, and then we can coat them. So we gotta do those. Of course, the dust shield's right there. Alternator's mint, good to go. How are we gonna clean up the starter? I don't really know. I know some of this stuff sounds completely pointless to do, but when I get in like my groove, in my zone, I just want it to be perfect. Like, why have a very, very nice engine bay and then you look under the car and the starter's crusty? Stuff like that. I guess we're doing it all. Thankfully, all the intercooler piping's done in wrinkle black. It's just a little bit dirty right now. We did get a little scratch, which kind of sucks, but it's hidden, so it's okay. Let's tackle the CV axles. We got to pop those boots off. I think all the boots are fine. This one looks new, honestly, the whole CV axle. But if we're gonna do this one, we're gonna have to do this one as well, so they match. You know what I'm saying? Color-wise. So let's start off with the crusty one. Pop these clamps off, take the boots off, completely gut the CV axle, clean everything up, and add it to the pile of parts to powder coat. So I've never really understood how to get the outer CV joint off, and I kind of did some reading online. So if anyone's ever trying to do this, you guys saw what I did with the vise. There's just that little ring on the end of the CV shaft that will slip down into there. So that's how you do it. Kind of pull it through the vise, just pop it off. I was hoping that whole shebang would come out of there, but it does not. So that kind of puts us in a little bit of a bind, because obviously we cannot get any sand from sandblasting in there. We're gonna have to really mask that off good. But thankfully the inner joint completely comes apart, so we don't have to really worry about that. We can just clean all the grease out and get that bad boy sandblasted. Let's run through, try to clean some of this stuff up, and we can disassemble the other side. All right, guys, we're all finished up with the CV axle disassembly and cleaning. I swear, CV axle grease is one of the worst fluids, I guess you could say. to work with. It's so nasty and there's so much of it. We got everything cleaned up. Obviously have to mask off a few things before we sandblast, but we'll do that a different day. Let's move on to some other stuff that we have to disassemble before we blast or powder coat anything. So we have the start of a pile of parts. Everything right here is gonna go gloss black and it's gonna look beautiful when all this is finished up. Look how crusty and rusty some of this stuff is. I don't know how much more we're gonna powder coat over this. There's probably gonna be some more stuff. And then here are the lower control arms. As you can see, we have a torn boot right there. We need to figure out how to get these things cleaned up and make them nice and shiny again. So there's all that. Transfer, we have to do something with. It's bummy. Transmission, definitely clean that up. Power steering pump, we will definitely take care of that as well. Valve cover needs to be cleaned. She's already beautiful and yellow. That box we'll take care of some other day. That's all stuff for the head. And then these parts right here, those just need to be cleaned up. We're not gonna be doing any coating. That turbo kit right there, we can just set aside and put it in storage, because we ain't gonna be running the small boy anymore. We're going to a big boy. Same with the clutch. It's a brand new clutch. We might as well keep it around. Now the rack, I don't even know what to do with. I'm tempted just to replace it, but this rack is perfect. It's just not pretty. So I don't want to replace it, but completely tearing this thing apart might be a lot of work. I might dig into this some other day. Maybe we could put like new boots on. Actually, these boots are fine. But yeah, we'll figure that out as well. I swear, the more I look at these parts, like the more I want to just go all out and do everything. Like every little tiny square millimeter of this car. But I don't know. Maybe it will turn into that. We need to run in right now and get these 3 parts dropped off. They don't fit in my oven or the sandblaster, so we're gonna have Limitless Coatings take care of these. A little bit far of a drive, but it's the only place in town that I trust. All right, we got the truck loaded down. The cylinder head shop just called me as well. They're already done with the head. That was like couple hours and they're already finished up, so we're gonna grab that on the way out there as well. Head looks pretty much brand new, absolutely beautiful. Big shout out to the dudes at Cylinder Head Service for getting that done. Well, we ran out of time to make any more progress on the Evo. So one of the advantages of dating a supermodel is you get to do all the behind the scenes vlog stuff for the photo shoots.
Taste the string.
Is it strong or something? Oh, tequila, I hate tequila.
The last time I had tequila was in Vegas.
Give me my beer.
Honey.
Damn it. I get one more hit, you get one more hit. If we win, then we're rich.
It's all, the pressure's on. Do I stop it or do I let it go?
I don't care.
That's it?
That's it.
This is why gambling gives me anxiety. I can't do this.
All right, my friends, that's gonna be a wrap for today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out. I'll see you tomorrow.